Hey, combat in RuneScape can feel a bit daunting. You go from this to this. Oh god.
Keep back, friend, keep back. Keep back,
Smited!
friend, keep back.
What was it? Here are 10 skills to learn to help you make the transition into bossing. Movement in RuneScape is pretty easy, right? I start at point A and I want to go to point B, so I can either run there, and my character travels, or I could turn my run off and I can walk there, and I just get there slower. Movement seems pretty simple, but there's a few nuances to it. Let's look at this. Standing at this point, I could move to any of these tiles. I could also move to these tiles. When I move, it looks like anything I walk over would affect me. But when you're running, you actually skip over that middle tile, as you can see by my indicator. This has a few implications. Look at this. If I need to maneuver a map and there's poison or traps, I can run over as long as I am skipping over the tile with the hazard. If I need to get across the map and there's poison, I can either take the 50-50 chance that I'll skip it naturally, or I can step right before it, that way I know that I'll skip over that tile when I continue my run. Prayer may be the most useful combat skill to learn. For 99% of enemies in the game, the damage is not decided when the attack hits you, but rather when they start their animation, so you usually cannot react and just have to preemptively pray against it. However, like everything in this game, there are exceptions. Most bosses have attacks you can react to because damage isn't calculated until it hits you. How are you supposed to know which bosses behave this way? Each boss is different, so you'll have to do a bit of research before going in blind. Zabak Jug? I guess it's a magic attack, but I can react to it. Zulrah, switching between mage and range? Good luck, and be ready to combo eat. Speaking of eating, when going into any piece of content, you have to deal with your limited inventory. What gear should you bring? What food should you bring? What potion should you bring? So let's talk about the consumables. Whenever you consume a food or potion, there is a delay before you can consume anything else. There are some exceptions to this. Harambons in particular, if you click them right after eating, you will be able to consume both of them. This is what people refer to as combo eating and is very useful for healing a lot of health quick. You can also do this with a potion, so if you eat the shark and then you can drink a potion right away. Any of these potions work. A big difference between what we call hard food, basically food that you chew, and potions is that after drinking a potion it doesn't delay your attacks at all, where hard food does. So if I attack this Hellhound here, this is my normal attack speed. I could drink a potion, and then click him again, and it doesn't slow me down at all. But if I'm attacking him and I need to eat, then there's a delay. So my damage got slowed down from eating hard food. Because of this, you usually want to try to eat your hard food while you're running away from the boss, or some sort of downtime while you're not actively attacking him. If we look at Ceridome and Bruise, we can see that they heal 16 health for each dose, and there are 4 doses in a potion. That means for 1 inventory slot, I can get 64 hit points. However, they're not all well and good. Each time I drink a Ceridome and Brew, it lowers my stats. You can see they just lowered by 11, and then by 10, and then by 9 more. So now, instead of 99 in my combat stats, I'm at 69. So, in high-level content, what you're going to see people do is bring a Super Restore. This regenerates your stats to max, and it regenerates your prayer as well, so you don't have to bring prayer potions. This way, I can still attack the monster the whole time, while I'm healing, and I don't lose any ticks while I'm attacking. After drinking the Brews and Restores, you will want to drink a potion again. In this case, because I'm using range, I'll want a ranging potion. Just like other potions though, boost potions don't delay your attacks, so you can continually attack while drinking boost potions. Even though drinking potions doesn't delay my attacks, I still have to click on the monster to resume attacking them. Speaking of which, we're doing the thing! We clicked the boss! It's gonna die now! I can switch my prayers, and I don't have to click the boss again. I can summon thralls, and I don't have to click the boss again. I can repair the relationship with my mother, and I don't have to click the boss again. I can eat something in my inventory, and I have to click the boss again. Just try to keep in mind which actions you do that interrupt combat, where you have to click the boss again. You don't want to stress too much about having to click the boss after every time you prayer switch, or it's going to be overwhelming. I can move and I have to click the boss again, unless I have auto retaliate on. No!
Trash!
Auto retaliate is great for AFK Slayer. Any sort of bossing though, you're going to want it off. The amount of people I've seen get dragged into a wave as Zabak is way too high. They situate themselves in the safe spot, Zabak attacks them, and auto retaliate drags them into the wave. This is because their attack range is too short to reach Zabak. Speaking of attack range, it is a very good idea to know your attack range. This really depends on your weapon. Melee is generally close up, but halberds can even hit a square away. Range in mage varies a lot depending on your weapon, but it can be as short as a blowpipe only having a 5-tile range, to something like a bowflow or a twisted bow having a 10-tile range. You don't only have to keep your attack range in mind, but the boss's attack range in mind as well. Knowing that Akka has to be next to you to melee you makes it so you can either butterfly him or kite him around the room to take no damage. In Nyx's Shadow phase, she does more damage the closer she is to you, so you want to stay at the maximum 10-tile range to decrease the damage. Deciding if you should mage, range, or melee a boss really decides on their weakness. The best way to see a boss's weakness is to just look at the wiki, or you could watch a guide. Let's take Duke for example. We can see that he has 255 stab, 65 slash, 190 crush, 440 mage, and 320 range defense. We want to go with what he's weakest to, so let's slash him open. There are some caveats to this. Let's look at Tecton. 155 stab defense, 165 slash defense, 105 crush defense, but no range or mage defense? You would think that we should range or mage him, but we can read and see that he's actually immune to range and highly resistant to mage. There's probably some lore reason I don't know about. So, against Tecton we would want to use Crush. because that's his lowest defense. However, some weapons, the Fang in particular, is so accurate that even though it's a stab weapon, it will outdamage most crush weapons for Tecton. We should probably talk about how to lower some of their defenses though. In most high-level content, you will want at least one person in the group lowering defense. The most common ways to lower defense are through either the Dragon Warhammer special attack or the Bandos Godsword spec. They both use 50% energy, but the Dragon Warhammer lowers the defense level by 30%, where the Bandos Godsword will lower it by how much damage it did. The Dragon Warhammer is usually better, but in some content that is weak to slash, like Duke, or has a cap on how much defense can be drained, like all of TOA, a BGS may be better. There are other ways to lower defense, these are just generally the two best options. You do have to be next to the boss for these weapons to work, so it's important to know that you may not always be where you think you are. It looks like I'm this super cool dude, and when I'm running, I'm right here, I'm right where I am. However, if I turn on tile indicators, I can see where I actually am. So, I'm in this square, that makes sense, but now when I'm running, we can see that square is always in front of me. This is the same case with NPCs as well. There is a movement, and then the animation is trying to catch up with your movement. This is pretty noticeable in places like Callisto and Artio, where their roar actually stalls their animation movement, so their true tile is across the map from where they actually are. You can either anticipate the movement, or use true tile so you can correctly position yourself. We can see that animation is actually a little bit clunky, and it's moving multiple squares at a time. When people talk about counting ticks, this is what they mean. Every 0.6 seconds, something happens in the game. You can move, you can attack, but the game refreshes every 0.6 seconds, so whenever people talk about counting ticks, they just mean about what can happen during a game refresh, or as Jagex likes to refer to it as cycles a lot of the time. Not very many people are good at counting in 0.6 second intervals, so there's a couple ways to manage this. You can keep walking, and every time you move, you know a tick happened. Or you can have a visual metronome on, and every time the color changes, you know a tick happened. Generally, you can only do one action per tick, but there are a few things you can combine, like eating and moving, or eating and attacking. If there is an attack that would drag you and put you in attack range at the same time, they can happen on the same tick. This is how Wook's walking at Vorkath works. You walk or run out of range of the acid attack, and when you click on Vorkath, it puts you in range, so you move and attack on the same time. Then you walk out of range and repeat. I know this was a longer video, but I do think knowing these things can help people get into some of the harder content and understand OSRS combat a little bit better. There is a lot of depth to OSRS, and one video can't cover everything. If there's anything very important you think I missed, please let me know in the comments. And if this video helps you at all, a like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.